throughout the split. He's been touted as actually one of the best Taliyahs that we have, like certainly top 3 in the league. So the fact that we're kind of getting that respect from TT says a lot, but it does give the Wukong and more than likely the Aphelios across the Elk here once more. And Ultra Prime setting up for at least a better time for themselves when it comes towards team fights, and easier to execute team fight.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you've got 2 fantastic team fight picks to start off, right? So definitely leaning in that direction. But Ucal with the Taliyah, fantastic start, right? You couldn't really ask for more. The Poppy taken off the board, though. Viego and Wukong, these were the 2 top junglers at the very start of the split. Obviously, there's been a lot of patches since then. Maybe the buy instead. A bit of aggression coming out from Beichuan. And the ability as well to lock onto that Wukong, try and sit him down. Kepler, though, once again gets that Jinx. Quite happy with the matchup that they had in game 1.
And why wouldn't you be, right? You ended up with the Taliyah to roam down, set you up beautifully. You still got a big advantage there. Also, with Cryin now locking in the Lissandra, you can ban away the Renata, which was honestly making things a little bit tougher in that bot side. But I think Ultra Prime might try and do a similar thing here, like maybe ban away the Nautilus, make things a little bit easier for their own bot lane, or honestly just keep the Nautilus open and immediately lock that in from Miaoniu on the bot side.
Yeah, trying to set him up a little bit. Because I'll be honest, after what we saw in game number 1, I feel like Ucal is going to be the one roaming again, unless something dramatically changes. The jungle matchup change perhaps could influence that, but I mean, I was definitely favouring Beichuan and Ucal off of the start of that last game, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see once we get
well, I mean, your Freudian slip definitely said that with the jungle diff, because I agree. Like, it was a jungle diff. Like, Hacker just really wasn't in place to try and carry this through. Now, again, on the Wukong, he can do relatively well, but Beichuan, at least in the early stages, Vi can play very aggressive in this matchup. So I'm curious to see how Beichuan is going to interact on the map if he starts to try and play through mid lane a little bit more, because if you are able to lock up this Lissandra with the Vi Q, suddenly all that extra damage from Taliyah becomes way easier to land.
Yeah, it certainly does. It's a very nice little combo, isn't it? Vi just holds you still, and then Ucal batters you back into the rest of the team, which, to be fair, it's pretty much what they were doing with Poppy. In game number 1, we saw the pick onto Hacker in Herald Pit early on in the game. He had flash available, just could never escape because of the amount of CC. Vi ain't going to change that one. Plenty more where that came from. But the Renata locked in here alongside the Aphelios, very standard from Ultra Prime. And Hoya, I mean, they're pretty much just rinse repeating on the side of TT. This is almost exactly what they had last time around.
Curious to see if the Nautilus will be the pick here, or if they will go for something else. I think mixing up the Nautilus here to something that can kind of play a little bit more of a defensive tool, probably going to be the call. Just because when you look at like the composition Ultra Prime this time around, Wukong is very capable of diving the back line, can get onto Kepler, so having something that can try and peel a little bit better is going to be the call. Looks like they'll go towards the Leona, at least providing a little bit more of that follow-up with the Solar Flare first. Zoom over the Sejuani. Might be looking to bring this one out against the Sejuani in the top lane.
It would certainly be a different matchup to the Ornn. A very different look for what Zoom is bringing to the table here. But what we talked about with the Ornn and the Sejuani was, do you have Snap Engage? Well, no still from the side of Zoom, but certainly a powerful weak side pick here from Zoom. And we were asking for ways to target Kepler. Mordekaiser is definitely one of them.
It's also safety for Elk in that bot lane as well, because if you try and dive in here as Vi, suddenly you get brought to the Shadow Realm. Your ultimate doesn't matter. You're not even in the same vicinity or the same world anymore. So now you're facing up against a very angry Mordekaiser for trying to threaten his AD carry. So I think there is definitely options here in Ultra Prime now where you've got great engage with Wukong and the Lissandra, brilliant follow-up with the Renata ult. Elk, as long as he's safe in the early stages, should be fine. And now I actually think that you might be in a bit of trouble here as TT. If this game goes even into the later portion of the game, you have so many ways for Ultra Prime to kind of distract or interrupt what you want to try and achieve.
Yeah, it feels like there is plenty of disruption available. And honestly, on both sides. But again, it's a lot of scaling on the side of Ultra Prime. It's a lot of, like, wait until the late game. And I'm a little cautious that that won't necessarily work after what we saw in game number 1. but perhaps they can control Ucal. Perhaps Hacker can have a bit more presence towards that mid lane. It's going to be a lot down to that mid jungle 2v2. It's a totally different matchup this time around, and Ultra Prime need to get themselves a win on the board here. Whereas for TT, remember, they don't necessarily need the 2-0. They would definitely like a 2-0, but what they need is the series win to keep their playoffs hopes alive. Game difference doesn't even matter for TT. It's all about series difference. They need 8 on the board.
It's going to have to start here for them, seeing if they can start that campaign into playoffs. Ultra Prime still trying to play upset now. Hasn't gone particularly well for them, at least in game 1. But game 2, there's a shiny Mordekaiser that might be looking to make the difference.
Real shiny indeed. Looks like something out of Blade Runner, you know, or at least the new one. The old one, not so shiny, I will say. I watched that in hindsight after watching the new Blade Runner, and it's not as good as people say it is. It has to be said. I might anger some old film fans there, but it's a bit all over the place, to be honest. It's a bit like a Batman film, honestly. With, oh, what? How does that not spot them? They were like totally out of fog there, at least on what Beichuan could see. But wow, that's kind of crazy. Doesn't drop the ward though.
Yeah, gonna just bait now. We'll now just back away. Looks like Ucal is gonna be the one that actually places the ward in there initially, as you can see, just on towards the Raptors to spot out where exactly they're gonna be. So Vi gonna start off as a solo clear on towards our top side, moving back down towards the bot lane. And Wukong as well, also gonna start solo. So at least at the moment, both junglers gonna be a little bit slower on their clears, but we'll give the laners, I was gonna say, the chance to try and push, which I feel like is what Ultra Prime are aiming for here, trying to get out control of the bot wave. But Kepler and Yaoyao should be able to respond here and match it.
Yeah, we're going to try to. We're keeping our eyes on Miaoniu as well this game, right? Because, let's be honest, he was targeted by TT in game number 1 and sort of destroyed. Yaoyao decided to take a different matchup in that bottom lane, despite how well Nautilus worked for them in the early game last time around, decided to change things up. So I am curious how Yaoyao will play out this new matchup with the Leona into Miaoniu instead of the Nautilus. I'm curious whether that changes the way this bottom lane pans out, whether that sets Elk up a little bit better, honestly.
I think the big question is not even so much the support, it's just the mid jungle from TT. Like, are they going to be able to have that same impact that they had in the last game? Because it's instrumental to the success of this bot side. Like, yes, you got great hooks from Yaoyao, not to discredit him, but a huge amount of it was, hey, you know, Beichuan's here, let's make the play. Ucal's here with the ultimate, let's make the play. So as we get to see Beichuan moving in towards this bottom side of the map, doing the red, it looks like it'll be a gank off of this red buff clear. And maybe that's where, again, Ultra Prime might find themselves in trouble.
There is a ward in the river, and there's a ping just coming out from the blue side as well. So they're well aware of the vision Ultra Prime's bottom lane has. Now, Beichuan is on the Vi, so it's one of those champions you can get over walls if you want to. The problem is that's your engage tool used if you jump over a wall. So for now, Beichuan just doing his Krugs and may well boomerang back up towards that top side. But the Scuttle Crab is available. The ward is now timed out. So maybe Beichuan just waiting until the timer on that ward's gone.
The wave is now pushing away from TT though, which is going to make this a bit hard. So I think Beichuan will just go back in towards the scuttle. And when you look at topside here for Hacker, realizing, hey, look, I'm not actually being contested on this, they're going to be pretty well aware that Beichuan did start on his top side and should be on his bottom camps now. So overall, they're not getting like full information, but you can definitely infer as to where both junglers are, and that's why we're seeing Miaoniu and Elk playing way further back, not wanting to make sure that they can get caught out by Beichuan.
Beichuan now on a ward in the mid lane though, so now there is full information, at least for the side of Ultra Prime, of where he's going to be chilling for the time being. As Ucal just tries to push this in, doesn't actually have any mana though, so I'm not sure if he's got quite enough for one last Q just to try and crash that wave. Going to reset off, but Hacker moving down to the bottom side here, sneaks into the brush. Kepler in trouble, forced the flash. Yaoyao next target here. The Flame Chompers will buy space. Cleanse having to be used as well. Another flash. That's 3 summoners down in the bottom side.
Yeah, DT really not wanting to get caught out there. I don't know if it was necessary from Yaoyao. I think the handshake had already been used, the gravitum had been used, and Hacker did have red buff, which might slow him a little, but I think he still should get to the tower there. But either way, respect given from TT, and this is a much stronger start from Hacker. And Hacker has, over the course of the split, been far more active on champions like the Wukong, like it's his third most kills and assists at 15. He's got like a 74% kill participation at 15 on this champion. Whereas when you look at something like the Trundle we saw last game, he's like 0.5 kills and assists, 50% kill participation. So definitely a major step up when he gets his hands on the Wukong, and we're already seeing that now.
Yeah, absolutely. Trying to be proactive and find an advantage. And does get some of the spells. It's just a question of whether he repeat ganks, right?
Yeah, comes back.
Because we got some of the spells out of Ucal at the start of last game. Just never went mid lane again, despite having a Lissandra available there. So we need to see now Hacker returning to that bottom lane and actually using it. Now to the mid lane. Miaoniu's moved over. Beichuan is here in the wings, but Ucal moving over to the side where Hacker is playing. It's going to be ults coming down in the mid lane. Ucal in trouble. Flashes to the rest of his team, but it's a 3v3 here, and this is the 3v3 that TT shine in.
I mean, we talked about it. The triple threat from TT coming in clutch and still going.
Flash from Beichuan. I don't think the rest of the team can follow up on that one. Perhaps a little overzealous.
I think Cryin just clipped Yaoyao with the slow, so he wasn't quite able to get in range. Nice attempt from Beichuan, but unfortunately just not quite in a position to follow up his Yaoyao. But yeah, I mean, nice job from TT. Should give them dragon control here if they want to try and go for that. You've even got push on bot side, and Ultra Prime have to reset in mid lane.
This would be a really early dragon comparatively to kind of the average at the moment. Elk being forced away from this tower as well. Even if they don't go for the dragon, which I think they will, but even if not, you're gaining a lot, right? By just Elk being zoned away, losing a bunch of minions to the tower, Kepler grabbing himself a plate. Just a whole host of good things happening here for TT.
Yeah, it will give Cryin push in mid, though. He's had the quicker reset than Ucal, who's still on this bottom side. Now actually looking for a play, it looks like, as well.
Oh, Elk still has flash available. Actually gets Miaoniu as well. Pinned against the wall here, but Ucal low on HP. Miaoniu goes down. Bailout is there. Can he finish the kill? No, the ignite. Not quite enough. So close on the Renata.
Beichuan needed to finish that, was worried of one more auto attack coming in, and suddenly that bailout would have been clicking through for Miaoniu. But as we said, we'll give Cryin control over mid. So what is the response? You have Hoya spotting out Wukong, stealing away the blue buff, but it looks like Hacker is just going to walk away.
I think he actually saw that, yeah. Hoya, a little too late on that one, and Hacker was in the brush, so knows that the blue buff is gone. Didn't actually see Hacker, though. Now you can see Ucal returning to that mid lane. He's missed a lot of CS for that one. You can see a big old minion wave. Sorry, a big old CS lead in the mid lane for Cryin, but ultimately, I think still worth for Ucal in the grand scheme of control around the map.
Again, it's understanding what your win con is, right? Like, unlocking Ucal is great to feed into the win con of play for Kepler. Like, Kepler's on this Jinx. He is going to be the main source of damage. He is the DPS in the squad. Like, let's get this Jinx ahead. And they've been doing a great job so far, as Miaoniu once again on the receiving end of that attention from Ucal. And the triple threat still alive and well here on TT as Rift Herald spawns. But Wukong already on that, and I don't think we're going to get a contest here from TT. Looks like they might want to just go bot instead.
Perhaps, but Hoya maybe just going to contest by himself as he walks on up towards the plate. But you can see Elk had moved over towards the Herald as well. So once again, Kepler getting some solo time on this bottom tower. And Beichuan is here. So if Elk moves on up here, he will just be killed. He will just be dived. Beichuan level 6 as well, so there's really no counterplay available from Elk. Has the cleanse, but that won't save you from a Vi. And it means that, you know, we've already seen one plate taken in this plate. It's going to be at minimum a second here. Yaoyao and Kepler being the benefactors of this play. The question is, what can Hacker do with the Herald to answer those two plays?
To try to see if they can get something in mid lane here. Both the mid jungle kind of eyeing each other up. Ucal sitting behind a wall, not wanting to give that information across. But yeah, I mean, for Ultra Prime, this is again kind of the same position that we were talking about from last game, right? Where we burn these summoner spells on bot lane, and then they're not quite being able to follow up on the play. It is actually TT that are making plays like this down into that bottom side. Here, look at that thing.
Chancy.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like, and again, it's like I get the impression. You know, have you seen the episode with God in The Simpsons, where it's like they're floating in? Oh no, it's Futurama, isn't it? Futurama, sorry, where. It's like God at the end is like, sometimes if you help them, they don't think you've done anything at all. And that's the way that God likes to operate. I feel like Hacker is like that, where it's like he technically does help out his laners by like burning a flash, but then doesn't actually want to follow up because then that would be too obvious. So he's just like, all right, okay, well look, I burnt the flash. The rest is on you. This is all I can do. I am a generous god.
I feel like taking the stance that Hacker is god is a interesting take off the back of this split, to be honest.
Look, look, I'm saying that sometimes he might just have a god complex. I'm not saying he's god.
I see, I see. Okay, well, definitely some kind of complex in the jungle, that's for sure. Tensiously, that was a bit mean. I take that back, Hacker. I think you're a nice guy. Beichuan,
you don't know him. You don't know him.
Don't.
How dare you?
I also take that back. I don't know if he's a nice guy. He might be horrible. But I'm going to assume, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think Hacker's probably a nice guy. In the meantime, though, Beichuan is a nice jungler with a kill lead and a big CS lead as well. Those are the kind of things that you want to see. I don't really care how nice my jungler is. I was brought up on EU West. None of my junglers are nice, you know? But some of them win me the game, so that's more important to me.
That is right. Ucal, good amount of damage onto Cryin as he tries to make his way back towards the turret, but everyone will just back away from each other. Dragon spawning in 40 seconds, so that's why we're seeing Ucal trying to be a bit of a nuisance with his abilities. Will need to reset though, quite low on mana, so would like to see him kind of go for that quick back, get that mana, and then TP back in towards the mid lane. Whereas Cryin, as you can see, kind of topped up on his health bar, and even has the Lost Chapter.
In they go. Cryin just locked up to answer those. Solar Flare Zonya'd, but Cryin just pulled back into the play. Bailout in play. Nobody's even low. Cryin will fall. Hacker not able to support there, forced to back away himself. There's now Kepler moving on up to match in the bottom lane. This could be a second Drake already for TT.
I mean, how do you not expect Beichuan at this stage? The two people are in the same place at all points in time. They are one, they will find you, and they will turn around that play in favor of TT. There's the reset that we talked about for Ucal, who can now swiftly move back in towards mid lane. And yes, Dragon, but more Elk.
Elk is in trouble here, but looks like he'll just about get away with his life. Beichuan had no ultimate. There's Gravitum available, but I don't think they can quite get onto him. I thought Beichuan was going to be in more trouble than he was there with the TP from Cryin, but it could be Dragon on the cards here for Ultra Prime and TT. You need to sweep, guys. You need to sweep. They're caught out, stuck in a ward. Yaoyao uses a stopwatch to keep himself safe here. Handshake back into the play, though. A knockback coming out. Kepler trying to protect his support. The Ignite finishes the job, though. And it's a 1-for-1 in the extended play.
Yeah, TT just didn't want to take the Dragon and get away with their spoils and with their victory, and now Ultra Prime turn around. They get some kills back for themselves. They will get this bot lane turret. Hoya is moving down after clearing out most of Hacker's camps on that top side, though, so Ultra Prime will respect that. Back away. Zoom can TP in, though.
Oh, Cryin could be in trouble here. Ucal wants a 1v1 against the enemy mid laner. Waiting for the knock-up, trying to play it safe. Doesn't quite find his target, though. We'll have to retreat after all. Hoya there. Forced to TP out from Zoom. So, I mean, this is 2 TPs now committed from the side of Ultra Prime. 1 TP from Ucal. Feels like a very heavy investment from both teams to not get the Drake.
Yeah, I mean, Hoya was just able to walk down. Did lose out on a wave topside, but not losing a plate. Actually kind of okay here, especially if you can burn that TP from Zoom. And now, as we're about to crest the 14-minute mark, give a little bit more of those resources to your bot side again, like taking Zoom out of the equation. But just going to get a quick replay here. Like, I don't know what Cryin was thinking. Like, they don't have vision to try and make this play. Yaoyao wasn't spotted on the bot side. They're just going to get the rocket here, which is the thing that finishes off Cryin on the backside here. Yeah, the flying squid of doom coming in towards the mid lane. It does look like a Kingdom Hearts character, I'm just saying.
It's like a space Poro, isn't it?
Yeah.
They've essentially just copied Poros and just made them slightly smoother. And
if I was going to put like a Heartless into the Star Guardian world, though, that would be what it is.
A what, sorry?
A Heartless from Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, I was playing Halo when I was that age, Rob. I'm going to be honest. I was killing the Flood.
To be fair,
I wasn't really that bothered about Mickey
Kingdom
Mouse.
Hearts in 5th class, I think it was, which was like 10. It was a while ago.
I was playing Tony Hawk's Underground 2, baby. Let's go. Yeah, I never played Kingdom Hearts.
Great
I
games.
used to be able to do a killer Goofy impression though back in the day, and then
You
my
did show
voice
me
broke,
your
and it ruined my life.
your Godfried one. What's his name? Rupert
Gilbert Godfrey.
Gilbert Godfrey.
Yeah, I mean that one wasn't exactly good though. Let's not bring that to broadcast. That is not the play. I think people quite enjoy having ears, so I'll spare people from that one, honestly. 3K on the Herald. I think that is going to go the way of Ultra Prime. And they should be in a good spot to actually move into this mid game in a very comfortable position, right? They've got a Herald to use for themselves to open up this mid lane. Ucal trading it for a tier 1 in the bottom side, but that's going to favor Ultra Prime. And, you know, we said the slower pace of game will favor Ultra Prime in the grand scheme of things with how they like to play as a team. It's feeling pretty good for them. TT not really able to put the same level of pressure on this time.
Yeah, especially if they're able to get the second charge, control more of the map. Hoya in a lot of trouble. He's in the Death Realm.
Yeah, in the Death Realm, but as soon as he comes out, he's gone. And there we go, Zoom grabbing a kill for himself. Kepler pulled in here, and oh my god, that's a lot of damage coming out from Zoom right there. Kepler needs to be a little more cautious.
That is a big old donk coming through from Zoom. But this is the problem, right? We talked about how trying to operate in these fights as TT, trying to get that good engage, is actually going to be pretty tough with this Mordekaiser. Like, Hoya can't really step up to try and engage because he can't beat Zoom in the 1v1. Beichuan certainly can't with the 2-level lead that Zoom has, and now the more resources that have been given across to him. So, overall, you got to try and figure out creative ways as TT to push this game forward, which is like trying to play the map out, finding advantages with Ucal to look for picks and side lanes. This is how you need to try and address this fighting prowess that Ultra Prime are bringing to the table.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one now, honestly, from the side of TT. Here we go though, Ucal trying to set up a play. They're going back to the old strategy of cyberbullying the Renata. Miaoniu left with the bailout there. It does finally get procced. I feel like they were trying to wait out the bailout before the kill. Oh well, good little Gale Force there. That was a little close. But Miaoniu does go down in the end. A little too close for comfort for TT, but they get a pick. And now looking to the mid lane. Hacker off on the side, but just getting bodied here by Beichuan. 1v1 between the junglers, but it ain't a 1v1 really as Hoya moves into the play.
That was exactly what we're talking about, though, for TT. Using Ucal on a side lane to push out and catch people out in transition. And there, TT at least buy a little bit more space for themselves. Buy the time until this next dragon is up. A minute and a half. And you can already see TT are looking pretty good when they're looking for these picks. And Yaoyao again, way too far overextended. Like, look at where the rest of Ultra Prime are on the map. Like, Elk is even the one backing away. And when Elk is the one being sensible in these positions, you know you've gone the completely wrong direction.
Yeah, I mean, that says everything you need to know about Ultra Prime, right? That Elk might be the most sensible player. But to be fair, Miaoniu getting a little bit caught out there. I think overestimating what his bailout can achieve for him. I will say, he nearly escaped just because Ucal was looking for more, wasn't trying to finish that kill off. Hoya had to dash forward and finish with the flail. I thought Miaoniu was going to just walk away with his life. But Drake coming up in 45 seconds, Dagda. I think we need to start talking about that, right? Because 2 already in the bag for TT. They'd love to get themselves towards the soul.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how TT are deciding to play this. Because there's 2 arguments, right? Yes, third dragon, fantastic. I mean, dragons are just great, right? But I also think that maybe just looking for these side lane towers could be a big win con as well. Because realistically, TT are playing for picks right now. I think they lose team fights, but it looks like we're going to find a team fight regardless. Because I would have nearly preferred to see them push out top lane, take top tower, and then again, look for Ucal with this Weaver's Wall to then try and make picks underneath mid tower or like zone people off of mid tower and crack that one open, Buzz. Now this gets a bit risky.
Those 3-2 on the scoreboard. Gold pretty much dead even, and I will say a much better game than game number 1, right? In terms of just going into the mid game at an even keel. This should lead to some good fights for us. Hoya trying to find a pick here. Hacker could be the target. Trying to get him to go for the clone, right? Using that flail. Won't quite be able to bait that one out. Zoom wants to fight for vision control, but just gets aggressed upon himself. Big CC chain. Can Zoom get the death realm off? The answer is yes. Beichuan and Zoom 1v1ing in the middle of a massive scrap for the rest of the team. Beichuan with a flash, and he wins the 1v1. Zoom turns golden, and the rest of the team there to clean up. Now Kepler with the resets onto Miaoniu as well. That'll be 2 for him. Double kill on the Jinx, and TT pull off the play.
TT just about managed to catch out Ultra Prime. Zoom way too far forward. No follow-up there. Beichuan will now solo the dragon as the rest of TT will look to crack open the mid-turret. Ucal with the Weaver's Wall on the side will be able to zone Ultra Prime away. And that's another victory for TT.
Crucial fight win right there. A tower in the mid lane as well. A Drake that will be taken here by Beichuan. And I'm really hoping we get a replay that shows the Death Realm here, because Beichuan, towards the end of the play... Hang on a second. The Drakes are so tanky now. Hacker's moving in. Can Beichuan actually get this? Oh, he smites early. Okay, he's got it. He's all right. He's out of it.
This is the mistake, though.
Yeah, he's going for the Scuttle Crab as well. Hacker going to try and make a play here. No ult available for Hacker. Does get bopped back, and the Cloud Rift might be able to get Beichuan out to safety. Hacker's got to be careful. The rest of the team's moving on over. Hacker could be in trouble. No ultimates. They back away. Okay. Hopefully, now we can talk about Beichuan against the Mordekaiser.
Yeah, I love how we will get the replay here, but the problem is Zoom, like, Zoom's in no man's land here. Like, this is a terrible spot, and there's so much damage that comes through so quickly that Zoom is already less than half health before he enters the Death Realm. And Beichuan, willing to just fight it out here, manages to flash away from the last bonk as well, then gets the Q reset, gets the shield off the passive that keeps him alive. And on the opposite side of the fight, like, Ultra Prime just got to run away. Like, TT have just so much of a superior position in River, being able to shoot over walls. You've got the range advantage for Kepler. Ucal is zoning out a lot of the follow-up as well. There's just no way for Ultra Prime to really get into these fights. And Ultra Prime have a stronger team fight. Like, when they're actually able to get into position where Hacker can set up Cryin, like, if you can get this 1-2 combo with a couple of people locked up in an AoE, like, that's the fight for Ultra Prime, but they're just not giving themselves that moment.
Certainly not. Ucal threatening in the top side. Zoom realizes that he's just being zoned away, but has to respect it, and that will be a tier 1 taken. So, again, TT building this goal lead, now up to 2,000, building these advantages together, and it's starting to look a little bit dicey for Ultra Prime. And as you say, Zoom mispositioning, the rest of the team being punished. And the thing is, once Zoom is in the Death Realm, you really have no tank on the side of Ultra Prime, right? Like, who is able to walk forward? Who's able to face check? Hacker can to some extent, but really, you're just kind of dodging around the fight as a Wukong. You're not really a frontline. So it's a tough one for Ultra Prime. They need to figure out how to operate these fights. And crucially, looking at the side of Kepler, he's 2-0-3. Once again, that 2-0 scoreline in the mid-game. And once again, headed towards 3 items.
So I feel like for Ultra Prime now, their win condition is actually to give Cloud Soul to TT. And that sounds like a very weird sentence to say. But when you actually look at it, I feel like Elder Dragon is their only real win condition. Like, they don't win out on sidelines anymore. They don't really have position now to fight back. And if they could get a steal, if they can find one big fight at Cloud Dragon, at the Elder Dragon, maybe they can find their way back into this game. I still think as you start to get like Elcon towards 3 items, a good team fight for Ultra Prime can turn the tides of this game, but it feels like Elder Dragon is what you're going to need to tip the tide completely in your favor.
Could be the call from Ultra Prime. Just play it safe. Allow the Soul to go over. I will say the Soul got buffed. Hacker locked up here. Uses the clone. Not too much committed from TT. I like that they're holding on to the ultimates. Yeah. We've seen plenty of ultis blasted into Wukong clones over the course of this year. So good to see TT not falling prey to that one, at least for now. Are we going to see a TP from Hoya here? I feel like you want to hold on to that one with Baron on the map. Nope, no you don't. You want to TP behind Ultra Prime and make the play right now while Zoom is on the bottom side of the map himself. Here we go with the Weaver's Wall as well. It's Cryin locked up, turns golden here, but it can only buy so much time for himself. Big damage onto the Lissandra. Hacker's on the backline right now. Kepler could be in trouble. Flashes out to safety himself here, but Hacker, 1 HP, will go down. Surely the burn is enough in the end. Kepler, Gravitums, Elk going forwards with the double kill! Elk's Infernum burns them to a crisp as Hoya has to try and escape. Ucal here alongside him, but Zoom can find a 1v1 with anyone. He's got the Death Realm at his fingertips, but Hoya just finds a way around him.
They just managing to escape, but that was what we were talking about. Elk gets a big win in the team fight for Ultra Prime, and they'll be able to get some much needed gold back in their favor. Dragon in 50 seconds as well. This could give a lot of gold towards Elk, but he still needs to get out of here. We'll be up towards the chickens. Hoya doesn't have the ult, but still looking to see if he could try and spot Elk on the way out.
Yeah, Can't quite find anyone. Can't quite get a punish. There are pings on the Baron right now coming out from TT. That would be a risky play to make. Let's take another look at... This is a very messy fight.
Yeah, Hoya and Yaoyao trying to see if they could get the engage, and it worked out pretty well here to get on towards Cryin, but you're leaving your backline super exposed here to Hacker and towards Zoom. So TT end up having their top and mid zoned away. Hacker gets great access to Kepler, which is exactly what we're talking about he needs to do. The early flash from Kepler means that then Elk, when he spots his opportunity here, Gale forces forward. Early cleanse from Kepler as well. Elk able to follow up magnificently, but we're back to fighting.
Yeah, Zoom's in the death realm with Hoya right now, so it's not quite as much of a fight as it looks like. Now comes out of the death realm and immediately just gets annihilated. Gets a shield, keeps himself alive. Beichuan on the top side of the fight here. Bottom side, sorry. As Ultra Prime retreat now, moving back to their side of the map. TT muscle on in. Zoom, no health, no TP, no death realm. Goes for the Gromp to try and heal up.
And he needs to get this healing desperately to provide the front line, but Beichuan doesn't want to let him.
There's the healer. They're on to Hacker. They're on to Zoom. They're just finding picks on the backside of the fight here, and the jungler is one of those picks. Can they finish the kills, though? Hacker finding some knockups. As in goes Beichuan. Down goes the enemy jungler, but it's a trade. It's a jungler and a top laner. Zoom goes down as well. Yaoyao's too deep, though. Keep your eyes on Kepler and Elk. They have to carry this fight as Ucal protects his support.
TT's team fights are coming back to bite them. We said TT, one, don't have the superior team fighting comp, but also the way they're setting up these team fights is disastrous for them. Kepler is so much of their damage in fights, and he is not being enabled whatsoever when TT are going for these. As Ultra Prime pick up the dragon and we hop into this replay, keep your eyes on where Kepler's positioned, because everyone dives up towards this top side to try and pick off Zoom, but Kepler is completely out of the fight, zoned away by Cryin, Miaoniu, and Elk. Like, we'll see it here, right? Watch where Kepler is. He cannot join this fight, whereas Elk just gets to play on the edge of it as TT come down into the waiting hands of Ultra Prime. Kepler trying to land poke but doesn't get it, but Elk is just getting to hit over this wall, while Kepler is still trying to find some sort of position into the fight.
Oh. TT, no way did they get this. This is the
Again?
second one of the day here.
No.
TT just sneaked the Baron away, and Ultra Prime none the wiser. We've seen some criminal Barons today, Dagda, it has to be said.
Yeah, we really have. And I mean, that's going to be a pretty big boon now for TT as well, because one of the big things that they want to try and do, as we said, is like play sides, like use pushing power to look for picks. And now that they've got the Baron, that becomes 10 times easier. Ultra Prime don't really have good Baron, well, champions that can deal with Baron buff at all. Like, Elk has to approach the wave very much. Cryin doesn't really have the wave clear that you need with the Baron up creeps there. So, spreading out onto the map, TT should be able to then use the Weaver's Wall from Ucal to get into positions. Always having that option to cut people off with the Weaver's Wall as well if you want, or even find engage with Hoya. Ultra Prime grouping up in the mid lane, though, to try and force TT to be a bit more focused on this mid lane and group up themselves.
Yeah, Hoya rejoining his team there. Cryin trying to find a pick. But take a look at where Ucal is on the map right now. Going for the tier 2. Should be able to just find that for himself as Beichuan zips away from Zoom. You do always have to be careful with that Mordekaiser. He will 1v1 a jungle pretty much at any point in the game, so you've got to be cautious there. But Ucal should be fine to just back away from this one. Zoom has to go and clear that wave on up. And now TT, they could just do the same thing, but playing for the bottom side. Weaver's Wall going to be used here. Denies entrance to the mid lane from the side of Ultra Prime. I don't think this is really a workable siege for the time being. Cryin engaged upon. Look at this damage. Oh my god. He can barely even use his Zhonya's in time. That's the ultimate use. Zhonya's comes out after the knock up there. But there is a pick. Not even Lissandra can survive that one.
Really good job from TT to find that pick, and that is the exact move we were talking about. Now, top turret down, mid turret will fall. You've got 2 cannon creeps here as well if TT want to try and keep this one up, but look at where Ucal is already on this bot outer turret as well. That's all outer turrets down now for Ultra Prime.
Ucal plays the map so well. He's constantly in a side lane pressuring, then using that Weaver's Wall to maintain that pressure. You don't lose the tempo from going in the side lane when you're using this Taliyah correctly. It's beautiful to see. Solar Flare onto Elk. Do they dive? It's just pressure for now as the cannons will whittle away. Beichuan goes in. Hand shook back to the play here. He will walk away for the time being. Zoom holds onto his ultimate. Oh,
I mean,
TP.
TT, a little bit worried about that teleport.
Cryin moving in behind enemy lines here. He's got to be cautious, though, because I think Beichuan might just go for him. The ultimate almost available once again for Beichuan. Hoya trying to play bouncer for Kepler. And they will walk away. A wasted TP from Ultra Prime. And once again, TT get everything they could want.
Just that little bit disjointed, and TT even managed to get that Scuttle Crab on the way out as well, which is going to be perfect for the Dragon that's in just under a minute and a half. Ultra Prime trying to see if they can now get something back on the map, but it feels like the inevitable is happening, where they're just getting TT playing the map better, using this Weaver's Wall, and with this next fight just under a minute's time, TT picked up a lot of gold off those last couple of plays.
Yeah, TT dramatically getting ahead now. It's a minute until the Drake comes up as well. That'd be Cloud Soul. And remember, the Souls did get buffed, so... the Cloud Soul got buffed, so it is slightly better than it was. Each individual Cloud Drake got buffed as well, so it's much, much more valuable than previous Cloud Souls that you've seen. It is worth fighting for TT, so we'll see if they are going to lean into that one. We've got a 4-item Jinx here with a Hurricane. Like, if a team fight lasts a long time, Kepler is going to top the damage charts. There are just no questions asked.
This guy is so strong. Runins and the Rapid Fire Candidacy say, like, so much AoE as well. Like, when Ultra Prime try to group up, but I mean, again, you got to be so careful. Zoom disrupting your engages. Hacker sneaking into the backline. Cryin potentially getting access, but with Kepler having the cleanse and the flash up, it makes this team fight a little bit more easy for TT. Flashes basically across the board on both sides. This is going to be an all-out brawl.
Just gonna try and tether Ultra Prime while the rest of his team just goes for the Drake here. This is an attempted pick onto Hoya for a soul, except Hoya's still full HP. Zoom the target, the CC chain, immaculate from the side of TT. And Zoom will be forced out of the play here. The bailout not gonna be enough. And TT find yet another fight here. They seem to be playing flawlessly as Hacker caught up. Yaoyao there to finish the job. Hoya with the kill credit in the end as Cryin tries to escape, but CC'd once more, and these CC comps are running rampant for TT. Cryin will fall to Kepler, and TT showing us that they deserve playoffs.
They are going to get themselves to 7 and 8, trying to see if they can keep this ball rolling for themselves. One more series stands between TT and playoffs. Ultra Prime, they tried, but they were not enough for Thunder Talk.
Thunder Talk, I can't believe they might actually make playoffs. After how this split started, after how this year started for the organization, this would be truly a momentous occasion for the org and for all of the players who, across the board, we've got a lot of rookies in here. We've got a lot of inexperienced players and players that have had really rough splits in their past. It's such an exciting time to be a TT fan. I never thought I'd say those words.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been converted to the TT hype train. Kelsey Moser is out there smiling somewhere because this has just been such a good split for TT. It feels like they've found this really cool identity now, and the fact that, as you can see, like, team fights starting to come together for them, coordination starting to become a much bigger topic for them as well. TT looking prime, but they didn't quite finish this one out. So, Elder Dragon in 4 minutes. Baron is live. Hoya is spotting himself in front of Elk, but Elk playing very aggressive here.
Ucal with the Swartz trying to deny the escape here, but it won't really find much. TT, they really want to muscle their way in. They want to find a pick. You can tell by the use of the Weaver's Wall.
Look at the wave top, though.
Only able to.
Massive wave on that top turret that just died, like, took the majority of the health off that top turret, which is why TT were trying to use the Weaver's Wall, like, deny Ultra Prime getting up there. You can see another big wave meant to hit. That top turret might just go down to creeps.
Finish the tower, yeah. The creeps pushed it back for a second, but I think it's going to go down. Cryin on the flank, trying to find his moment. Hoya goes wide on the ulti. In goes Cryin, but the rest of the team can't follow up. A great ult from Yaoyao to deny the engage. It's going to be a hostile takeover, but it ain't as hostile as they would have hoped. Hacker now on the backside of the play. Can they finish Kepler? The answer is no. Ultra Prime trying their damnedest, but their damnedest just ain't enough.
And the creeps are streaming into their base. Top tower did fall. Inhibitor is under threat. Nexus turrets are under threat. And TT spot that, so they will turn immediately over towards the Baron. No Unsealed Spellbook means no smite available, but Zoom's going to try.
It's already gone. It's already gone. Elk moving forward alongside Miaoniu. He just wants to make the hero play. He knows that it has to be done, but Zoom chunked on out. Elk caught in the back of the pit. Has flash available. Keep your eyes on the Aphelios as Hoya getting onto Cryin himself. Ucal flashes for the double kill. Bailout does nothing as Cryin finds himself alone. Another one for Kepler as they finish things strong. Ucal, take a bow, my good sir. An incredible Taliyah performance as TT look to lock themselves in. They've not quite done it just yet, but it's one last step on the road against RA.
Tissue papers on the ears are only for the eyes of Ultra Prime. Get them actually caught Cryin, because TT, that was impeccable.
You got Cryin, he's got tears in his eyes, see no evil. You got Ucal, tissues on his ears, hear no evil. As TT grab themselves a honestly fairly dominant victory, much closer than game number 1, but still a very impressive game here for TT. I have to keep repeating it. I'm excited to see what this team bring to the table for playoffs. If they can make the playoffs, you know, they still have to beat RA. They do still have to get another series win on the board, but I'd call them favorites. I'd definitely call them favorites heading towards that RA game.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, Ultra Prime were ahead of Rare Adam in the standings, so it should be an easier time. But actually, with this loss, Ultra Prime go below Rare Adam in the standings. They will now be on -16 in their losses, which means that Rare Adam will actually be able to take over in the 15th place spot. So basically just bouncing back and forth between the two teams, but it does feel like with a convincing win like that, TT should be able to put themselves in towards playoffs. And it looked spectacular. Like, I think Ucal on the Taliyah was fantastic. There's too many times where you don't really see people correctly using the presence on the map that this Taliyah can have. In the early game, a lot of the time we actually don't see the Weaver's Walls to those side lanes to try and help out. Ucal both games in this series spectacularly playing around that bot side, getting Kepler into position he could carry. The way they eventually started playing in side lanes after we kind of got to that mid to late game situation was really good. And the Weaver's Walls were on point, always making Ultra Prime uncomfortable and forcing them into positions they didn't want to be in.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal game here from Thunder Talk. And like you say, the Weaver's Walls, like Ucal just in general, an exceptional day for him. Like, got Taliyah both games, which is always going to be nice in the current meta, but the way that he's using that in the side lane, like you say, the pressure from the Weaver's Wall, but also just his combos, right? Like flashing forward aggressively to end both games. We saw him flash forward for the triple kill at the end of game number 1. Game number 2, flashes forward into that Baron pit to finish everybody off. I love to see that kind of confident play, because so often when you see players playing Taliyah, they use the Weaver's Wall, and that's about it. That's about all you get out from the wall game long. Whereas Ucal, I feel like he's really trying to squeeze every ounce of damage that he can out of this champion.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm really impressed by the way we've seen Ucal kind of grow over the course of this split, because initially when he came in, was not impressed. It took a lot of time for Ucal to kind of ramp up. I think Hoya coming into the roster, adding another Korean language speaker into the team made such a big difference to Ucal. And as this split has gone on, we're starting to see the team fights looking a lot better. Like, the coordination and how they want to try and find these fights is looking good. So now as we start to move in towards playoffs and we hopefully see TT there, it kind of fills me with a bit of hope to see what they're going to be capable of against some of our teams as we move into those best of fives.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be exciting, honestly. As I think TT are going to make it. I think they're going to make it in. I think they'll beat RA, which would be our 8th team locked on in. And then it's just down to the game difference battle between our other teams, which LNG are a favourite for, that's for sure. But we'll have to wait and see. Only time will tell. And, you know, we were talking about the damage out from Ucal. Even with a Jinx on his team, still topping that damage chart.
And I mean, look, absolutely insane series from Ucal. The Taliyah was spectacular. And I love, it does feel like this meta of mid laners really fits what TT want from their mid laner, with, as we're kind of saying, like some sort of facilitator that can be played towards in the early stages to set up, but then can kind of give that love back, specifically down towards Kepler on that bot side. And the fact that Kepler has just been able to slow hit his way into